Hello again, everybody. This is part two of my sort of speed tutorial here of this master copy of this master study here by Richard Diebenkorn. So again, I'm just using a sort of more of a charcoal type of brush, and I'm just going through and making adjustments. So I'm going to give myself about 10 minutes here and see how much further I can get with sort of the study here of what I'm doing, and try to talk you all through how I'm making decisions here. So something I'm going to focus in on for a second is this floor and table situation that we see in this work. So this whole bottom area, the distances between certain sections, and I'm going to do my best to try to adjust my work based off of this stuff. So I see Diebenkorn's used a lot of these different blue values and overpainted and made some corrections and things in that space. So I'm going to do the very similar thing with my values that I have going on. So I'm going to bring some more of this medium, more middle gray down here. The space in between this chair and underneath this little bit of this table kind of tucks back in here. I'm going to get some of the stuff in the foreground, blend this stuff out, sort of adjust my pressure here, get some of these marks being made. Something that I've enjoyed about this iPad, I was grateful enough to get one of these here this year, is my studio at home doesn't really, it's not really great for having paintings and things in my carpet and all this stuff. So what it's great about this is I can use this different material in my home without maybe having to get too dirty. If I'm in between meetings or something, I don't have to worry about making a huge mess and then coming back later or storing certain paintings and things. It's just been really great to use as a tool in that way. So get a chance to experiment with different brushes and things in this digital space too, which I enjoy. But we'll keep this going here. I'm just blending out kind of some of these darker mid values that I put in here. Something I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to pay attention to this space here of the space between the chair and then the front of that table, and the spaces in between this cup that go around, and see how close or accurate I can get with some of those marks that I'm making as well. So the underneath the chair looks pretty close to me right now. I'm actually going to take my eraser though. I'm going to erase a little bit there because I know that I'm going to have some floor come through here. So I'm going to erase some of this stuff. To imagine some of these lighter values of that red orange coming through. I'm going to get this cup going in here as well. I'm going to adjust this leg just a tad. And while I'm doing this, I'm noticing other things I have to fix with my chair, whether that's the leg, the arm, the way it curves and comes down. I'm going to grab some of this darker value back here and blend these things out, readjust as these things come down. Much closer now. So that table leg comes down here. I'm going to grab some of this gray value again and push this a little bit closer. So it's a moment here where Diebenkorn put that quick mark down for that cup, and then he put this blue value in over top. That's what it looks like to me anyways, because I can see some of those marks through this background where he had taken this red orange that he has here and probably went like this, and then added this lighter value over top later, put that, and then maybe took a blue and went through here and went over top like that. So I'm trying to do something like that with our achromatic values here. Put this in here, and then I'm going to grab a lighter value and slam that in there. Sort of glass of scotch or something here. I don't know what this is. Looks like a little cup. I'm going to add some of this darker value as well. Some shadow here. So we're going to move on to that placement of that book. So the way that I put it down earlier in that first part of the speed painting sort of demo here is that it was much more angled actually, now that I'm noticing this. So I'm actually going to grab a darker gray, put this kind of curve in here of this backside of the shadow of this book being open. And this is always just a good challenge, something I like to do, sort of weekly. I like to look at other people's work and try my best to kind of emulate with different materials that I have here in my iPad, just to see. It's a good sort of flex in that way, or a good exercise to do with my brain, and try to see how close I can get or how accurate I can get with certain decisions I make. So I'm going to put a little bit darker under here. Front of this table, shadow and things. That book and that table almost become like seamlessly blended together, and they're just separated by a little bit of difference of value. Some marks that go around. So I'm going to kind of pay attention now to the way that the marks are made on the table that I'm noticing. Diebenkorn, the way that he uses brush. So I'm going to kind of emulate some of that directional strokes or the mark making that he had there to try to build our understanding visually of the flat surface of this table. Kind of go around here. So I'm just kind of using this charcoal brush that I have to kind of get some of that texture going, and something I always loved about painting in this type of way. Especially when you look at some of the work by Diebenkorn or some of his contemporaries, David Park, some of these folks, the way that they use a brush and just kind of slap and paint on there is something I always just enjoyed to look at. It's always kind of cool to me. I'm just kind of filling in things and make my brush a little bit wider, kind of get stuff in here, and then we'll get that plate in here in a little while. I'm going to keep jumping around. So I'm going to give myself just about 3 more minutes and see how far we get. I'm going to focus my efforts towards the landscape now. So I am going to take some of my gray that I put in the sky here, and I'm going to work kind of quickly and try to make some other adjustments of things that I notice going on in here. Make a big mark right across that canvas. Grab some of this gray. Again, I'm going to use a little bit lighter pressure and get some of where I imagine those brown values kind of coming in. Kind of filling in some of these spots in the sky. And one thing I noticed I made quite a big error is, like, I guess just when I placed in where some of these marks are with the window pane here. Some of these verticals that I was looking at, I actually placed in much too dark. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go in with a gray, and I'm just going to wash all that out. And then I'm going to keep some of the evidence of that stuff that's there. I'm going to keep some of that there, and then I'm just going to readdress those marks with a smaller brush that I've got. And I'm just going to kind of bring that stuff down. Keep going smaller here. This will be a nice kind of way to put these things in here, kind of scratch them in, scribble them in a little. And this was, I'm actually going to take my eraser, I'm going to bring that out with my eraser. So some of these marks, and I can go in and blend this stuff too later. Pressure here. Keep building this landscape back here, adjust the heights of this stuff, and kind of come in and like as I'm taking things away, I'm also addressing some of these marks that are made sort of vertically towards the interior sort of support beam here in the corner. And then we'll keep pushing that stuff back. Lighten up some of that sky. Some areas in here that are a little bit lighter. And there's just other stuff I'm noticing too now that I'll address in this next portion of this video. So stuff I'm going to keep playing around with is the spaces between, the spaces between these verticals and the angles of some of these large horizontal marks. I'm gonna keep playing around with and try to get in my drawing more accurate, because I've got so much space that I put in here originally. So I'm gonna have to make some serious adjustments here, and I'm gonna talk about how I'm gonna do that.